Okay. We can breathe. We're actually live right now.
Amazing.
Are you sure, though?
I am 99.9% sure that see that green button, kind of yellow button, now it's red. That's okay. It's just the connectivity. But yeah, we are officially recording. Audio and video. Thank you both for coming back. For those of you that are just tuning in now, and maybe you saw the video earlier before I deleted it, they've already been here. The team from Not 9 to 5. We're going to keep this as fun as we can and as informal as we can, but also serious. We need to be serious. Why don't we introduce ourselves to the listeners, to the viewers again, who you guys are, why you're here, and what Not 9 to 5 is.
Hi there, I'm Ariel Copeland. I'm one of the co-founders of Not 9 to 5, and we are a community-driven organization focused around shattering taboo and stigma and mental health in the food and beverage industry.
So concise. I like it. It's very succinct.
Yeah, we got our spiel down.
Yeah, exactly. I bet. Yeah.
Not our first rodeo.
Yeah.
I worked in the industry since I was a teenager, and I've always seen so many things around mental health and addiction, but never felt like we could talk about it. I personally actually have lived with a mental illness since I was a teenager.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I didn't mention that before.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, no, it's about part of why I do this.
Yeah.
Is because I have personal experience with it. I still live with depression. I was telling you actually before we went on air, social anxiety for me is a very real thing.
Yeah.
So Terrior has been amazing today, but after this, I'm done.
Yeah. I don't know how you feel, but for me it can get exhausting being in rooms like this, but this is kind of what our industry breeds as well, right? And we talked about it earlier, like you're expected to show up a certain way and like...
Yeah, you always have to be on, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing is no one has an opportunity, or no one feels like they have an opportunity to not be on. And I think for us, that's part of the message is it's okay not to be okay, right?
Yeah.
You know, if you feel like, can I swear? Or,
Yeah.
If you feel like shit, you feel like shit.
Yeah.
And you know what? No one's judging you. I mean, everyone feels like shit sometimes, you know. There is a difference between mental health and mental illness, and everyone suffers from mental health, and not everyone has mental illness, right? So, you know, mental health, we exercise just like anything else, and there's times where every single person that's in this world is going to feel like shit.
Yeah. There is no such thing as perfect, and no one's always going to be on, so it's not really fair to expect that of others or of ourselves. You both come from different sides of the business. I really don't like to divide front of house and back of house, but it is, in a lot of businesses, it's a natural division, but I think we're working harder as an industry to kind of knock those walls down and work as more as a team. Actually, I think it was voted the restaurant of the year at the World Restaurant Awards. Wolfgat. Did you guys see this restaurant?
No.
It's called Wolfgat. It's in South Africa, but they don't recognize front of house, back of house.
Amazing.
Like everyone wears different hats, which I thought was so innovative, but also just so simple.
Yes.
And it kind of knocks down those walls. But the reason I brought that up was with the work that you've done with Not 9 to 5, have you seen more of one type of person coming in and engaging with you? Has it been more back of house, people you recognize, they kind of talk the talk and, you know, you can see yourself in them? Or has it been a mix or predominantly more than the other?
I think there's been a mix. You know, I think so far we've seen there's definitely been overall more women that have been coming out. I mean, we've recently done a survey to talk about different issues, and we just want to know what's happening. And we wanted to, you know, some of the stuff you know, but you still want to find out to see if what you suspect is accurate. And you know what? Some of the stats were pretty amazing and sad, but amazing. I mean, was it 87% of people say that they have experienced mental health and, you know, and or addiction within the food and beverage.
That's dangerous.
Well, it's 87%. That's an epidemic. That's crazy. Yeah. You got to factor in the number of people lying and the number of people that haven't even really come to terms with it yet. Mm-hmm. So, like, you know, if you add that in, then you're like, okay, well, where are we at? Is that like 95%? Is that...
Yeah, you know? It's scary. It is scary. But again, like I feel like for so long our industry had kind of bred this as a normal thing, and there wasn't things like Not 9 to 5 or Out West with Mind the Bar, things like this that are allowing for platforms for conversations like this to exist.
Oh, I felt like if I brought this up at work when I was in my 20s, I would have been fired.
Yeah, or laughed at or ridiculed.
true, but that's
Yeah.
how I felt, and there was nobody in the industry having these conversations. So I think, like Ariel said, like all of us have mental health. We have to take care of it like we do our physical health, and the more we talk about it, especially in the workplace. Another survey stat that came out was that only 30% of us feel comfortable speaking about our mental health at work.
Right.
So that's 70% of us that are suffering in silence.
Yeah, not good. Not good. But again, kudos to you guys again for having a platform to start this conversation and have these conversations. You've probably discussed not 9 to 5 a ton today and educated people a ton. So I appreciate you guys coming back and having this conversation again with us. But what does not 9 to 5 look like in action? What are you doing to help, whether it be a one-off restaurant or a group of restaurants? Like, what is not 9 to 5 doing in the community right now that's tangible for us as an industry to see your work come to fruition?
So since we started last year, we've been sharing personal stories. We have a blog, and there's over a dozen people that have shared personal stories. I was one of them. And Ariel did too. And we all come at it from different places and different experiences. So the blog has been a great place for people to share openly and publicly, because I think one of our main goals has always been to decrease the shame and stigma. We also have hosted a number of events. This year we're going to be hosting a series of events starting in the summer with an organization that's a therapy clinic.
Oh,
and
cool.
Yeah, so we're going to be collaborating on a monthly event to bring people together and have mental health professionals in the room. We also are co-hosting a weekly CrossFit class.
Yes, shout out Academy Alliance.
Yeah, so we do it at Academy of Lions. Shout out to them. Shout out to Ammo, who started the program. It's called Lift Up, and it's designed for people that live with challenges to their mental health and or addiction. And I go quite often. I really love it. It's really helped me.
Yeah.
You get endorphins, serotonin hit.
You look better naked.
Yeah, you shed pounds.
Things.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Not why I do it, but it's a nice side
like
effect.
we said earlier, it's just a byproduct. It's a great byproduct, and we talked on it earlier. But these people weren't in. Like, physical fitness is such an easy and accessible thing to do. So why not get involved? And you mentioned Good Life earlier as well.
In my personal life, yeah. So Good Life is we got all of our staff at my last restaurant. We got them all gym memberships, and for me personally, I actually had an ulcer because of the fact that I was like,
The stress.
Well, stress, but also not eating, and then eating late night.
Yeah.
And it's like the late night Chinese food that you think is a great idea, but it's so bad for your body, and the number of people that do that. We really try to make it so that it's well-rounded, because one thing that we found is everyone's struggle is different, everyone's story is different, and there's so many different things that fall under the mental health, and addiction is its own beast, right?
Yeah.
So we try to keep it pretty. The other thing we've done some workshops on anxiety. We're working on some other workshops as well. So the idea is people can come in and give them some helpful tips, and they leave with something. So they actually leave with things that are actionable. So if they are in a situation where they feel like they're going to have an anxiety attack, here's what you can do.
Right, step by step.
Also knowing, from either the manager or even just another staff member, like absorbing what the signs are.
Yeah, I was literally just going to ask you that. I was going to say, I'm going to turn my light on here, but I was going to ask you, like, what are you, obviously being in back of house, and Hassel, you being in front of house, like, what are some of the signs that people listening, if they are like members of the leadership team, what should they be looking out for when it comes to things like mental health, anxiety, addiction?
Yeah, that's a great question. Everyone has different things manifest in different ways. I think one of the biggest things around that is that, if you're behaving in a certain way, that say you're an employee and all of a sudden, this employee is behaving very different than how you normally perceive this person.
Right.
There's a common thing that managers will just say, okay, well, this person's a problem now. But I think the bigger picture needs to be like, okay, well, what's wrong with this person?
Right.
And so you're like, okay, so let's have a real conversation. It's not just like, okay, this guy's a problem, we got to force them out, or we have to do this. It's like, okay, why don't you sit down and listen, active listen.
Yeah.
I think that's the real thing, is making sure that it's not listening to respond, but it's listening to actually hear what this person is saying.
Yeah. I think people are more actively being heard nowadays, but we still have work we need to do, especially in our industry. And listening to you just describe that, it reminds me of a company, I forget their name, but once you're hired with this company, you can't get fired. So the idea is it's on them to create create an environment for you to succeed as their employee.